Thank you. I only have a limited amount of time. So, next time you want to ask me a question, I will give you the mic. Okay. So,
Question? Q&A?
I have had Q&As before, and one of these times when I'm here at the beach, I won't be here next week, I will share some of those with you. So, because they were so worn out, and they had acted so crazy, I'm talking about the false prophets of Baal, they had run around and had knocked down all the altar of Elijah. And so Elijah had to have an altar rebuilt, had to have a sacrifice placed on top. And then Elijah asked for something amazing. He asked to have a ditch, a moat, made around the altar. And on top of that, he asked the men to fill it with water. And they had 4 jars there, and they went down. And by the way, Mount Carmel is not too far from the Mediterranean Sea. It's in the north and the east, or the northwest of Israel, of Jerusalem. And so they went and they filled these jars and they poured them all over the sacrifice, over the wood, over the altar. And they did this 3 times, which made a total of 12 jars of water that they had poured over the stones, over the altar, over the sacrifice, over the wood. They had a little moat of water down there. And then Elijah looked up. And Elijah said, God, I want these people to know that you are God. I ask you to send down fire so the hearts of these people can be turned back to you. And as Elijah spoke, whoa! Fire came down from heaven. A beam of fire came down. It was so hot. It burned up the offering, the sacrifice. It burnt up the wood. It dissolved the rocks. And it lapped up the water so that a big ball of steam rose up into heaven. And when the people saw it, they fell on their faces. And they said, the Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. And then Elijah said, what are you guys going to do with these false prophets? So they went after them and they got rid of them.
They played hide and seek?
So they destroyed the false prophets up there on the mountain. And then Elijah could hear a little bit of rumbling sound. A little bit of rumbling sound. And no, it wasn't Austin's stomach. And so in that rumbling sound,
Muffin mine. Just kidding.
God was telling Elijah, it's time to call for the rain. And so Elijah sent somebody out to look to see if there was any clouds coming. And he had to send the person 7 times. And on the 7th time, the person said, yes, there is a cloud rising up from the sea.
Wow.
And it looks like a man's hand.
Like those clouds rising up from the sea?
Well, I see clouds out there rising up from the sea, but none of them look like a man's hand. Anyhow.
What was that, Monty?
The clouds begin to come up.
Clouds rising up from the sea.
The wind began to blow.
Hey.
And the wind began to blow very strong.
Right.
The clouds began to get dark. And Elijah decided he better tell the king, it's going to rain. You better get on your chariot while the going is good and get down.
Praise
to the
Jesus.
castle.
Praise Jesus.
Amen.
And so Elijah
Jesus, get your boots on. Get your boots on. Jesus is doing something. Jesus is doing something.
And he probably
Al's
had
preaching.
a chariot
Al is
Call
preaching.
those guys who, drive for the
Hallelujah.
king.
Al's preaching a good word.
Chariots of fire?
A chariot
Conrad's
leader,
preaching a good word.
A chauffeur.
He had somebody just to chauffeur the
Hey,
chariot.
I seen you at the river
And
last
so
night.
they began to
I watched it on
beat the
TV.
horses, and the horses
I seen you at the
began
altar.
to run
Yeah, the
towards
guy was
the
slaying
town
everybody,
of
man.
Jezreel.
Eric guy?
Oh, I love Eric. Years. I love Eric.
Yeah, he's got some major,
As they ran,
major power in his voice.
I
And
love
the
him,
wind
what he does
came,
with the word.
Huh?
Relationship.
and the rain
Yeah.
began to
yes,
fall,
definitely. Yeah.
Elijah
I
thought to
love,
himself,
I love
well, I better get down there
everything
too.
is scripture coming out of his mouth.
And so, according to the Bible, Elijah,
I watched
Girded
it
up his-
Friday night. Wait, Friday?
well,
Yeah.
you know, back in those days they wore
No, maybe it
robes.
was Thursday night.
And so Elijah took up the hem of his
Watching
robe
the phone.
and he held his robe around his waist. And Elijah began to run down to the city. And Elijah was so full of a confidence